Hello and welcome to Radar, the podcast that lets you into Safran's world. Our teams are fueled by passion, and in this special series, you'll be able to meet some of our colleagues and find out how their enthusiasm drives their engagement, both in their roles at Safran and in the way they show up in their everyday lives.
Today, we're meeting two guests from Safran Seats Great Britain, Véronique Bardelmann, CEO, and Benjamin Omasanuwa, Head of Mechanical Design. This is an in-depth discussion on their conviction and investment for diversity and inclusion, with powerful ideas on how we can all be mindful of making our teams as diverse as possible. Let's get to our conversation. Welcome, Véronique and Benjamin. Welcome to this episode.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome.
This is a podcast about diversity and inclusion. Let's start by definitions. What metaphor best describes what D&I means to you?
So diversity is really much about having different views and on the same topic based on our personal background. So I would say as a metaphor, it'd be looking at the same object but with different glasses.
So coming at something from different perspectives. And how about you, Benjamin?
So for me, I think I look at diversity as a term as it describes itself, being diverse. So the metaphor that I would use to kind of define diversity is variety is the spice of life. That differences allows for better use of time or resources.
Spice of life. So it adds something.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is really a podcast about passion, about how this passion is expressed inside and outside of work. In what way would you define yourself as passionate about diversity and inclusion?
I think this is so important to be in an environment where we've got people being from different horizons, different backgrounds, different studies, curriculum vitae, etc. And to me, I think it's also in the role of the manager to develop different people. So I've spent still spending some time mentoring younger people. That's so important to me. As a woman, I was really happy to be mentored myself. It brought me really a lot. So I just want to give that back, I guess.
Yeah, there's an idea of paying it forward. How do you feel about that, Benjamin?
Yeah, so for me, whole idea of diversity is more than just about work. It's embracing people, embracing cultures, embracing that difference. Within work, for example, I have a team of people from so many different backgrounds, and I kind of like hearing about their backgrounds and about their own ideas and solutions. But outside of work, I also do a little bit of mentoring, and I do attend various networking events. For example, I go to Bristol to support in the BAME network, so the Black and Ethnic Minority network, just talking about engineering to kids who are kind of anticipating and looking forward to or unsure what they want to do, and being able to show them that something else is possible beyond what they would have thought.
Opening their horizons.
Absolutely.
And I remember when we first talked about this topic, what really struck me is how much diversity and inclusion is really an imperative for innovation, for problem solving. What are your thoughts on this, Véronique?
I really fully agree. In my personal and professional life, I faced many situations when you thought, how I'm going to find a solution for that. And diversity is just bringing, fresh, new looks at the same object. So in a situation where you, with your background, you think you won't be able to solve it, people who have different experiences and also different ways of thinking will have a different approach of the problem and find other ways. So it has always been a great, I would say, lever to find solutions and also to be innovative. And it's really often because two people talk together with two different backgrounds and suddenly, you create also something. So, yeah, I believe it's very true.
And I remember you shared it's not an HR topic. It's not a human resources topic.
It's really not. It's really not an HR topic. It's to me about leadership. How can you grow your organization? How can you make your organization the most successful? And diversity to me is one of the subjects. If you've got people complementing each other, then your organization is stronger. So to me, it's really a key topic in terms of leading an organization.
How about you, Benjamin?
Definitely agree with Veronique. It's about leadership, definitely not HR topic. But coming from Nigeria myself, where we solve problems very differently, and being in the UK, where problems are solved completely different, I think understanding and helping people work together with those different backgrounds, whether that is, age, race, whatever the case may be, being able to bring people, those differences together to work together, and see and understand the different perspectives, that's all you need to be innovative or to solve any problems. And being able to, if you like, the newer engineers, newer people, to say, okay, how would you solve this? How would you change this? And escaping what I like to call the grandfather clause. It's the way we've always done it, therefore we need to continue doing the same. No, we cannot do that. So that diverse group of people allows you to do something different, do something new.
You had a really great story about the number 3. Could you share that?
Yeah, I do. So if you put, I'll call it the number 3 on the ground, because it's all about perspective. And you have 4 people standing around that number. One person will see a number 3, of course. The person on the top will see the letter E. The person on the right will see the letter W. The person on the left will see the letter M. All 4 people see something different. And of course, you could either get into the option of we're all fighting because everybody thinks they're right, or you could kind of ask each other, why do you see something different? And be in that person's perspective to understand where they're coming from. And then you can have an agreed solution or an agreed way forward.
I love that story. And it really brings this question of how do we, because we all have biases, humans have cognitive biases. So how do we prevent ourselves from surrounding ourselves with people who only see number 3? How can we get better at catching our very natural, very problematic blind spots?
Well, I guess it's not always easy, right? Because it's really comfortable to be surrounded with people who understand you very quickly because they think the same. So it's very much about daring to be or accepting to be out of one's comfort zone, accepting to be challenged, accepting to value ideas that you maybe would not consider on the first row. That's not easy. That's not an easy one. And I guess it is a lot about humility, about thinking that you don't have the best solution, but there is a best solution that may be outside. So that's about humility. That's about accepting failure too. You have to try. You have to try other ideas and see, if it's better working. In some cases, it's going to work, in some other not. But to me, it's very much about accepting to be challenged and to try and to dare to innovate thanks to the other ideas or the implementation of other ideas.
And you, Benjamin?
We can very easily as human beings just go, you are wrong because you're not seeing it from my point of view. However, the way I think we can see beyond our blind spot or clear out some of our blind spots is asking some very rudimentary questions. For example, can you help me understand your view or your perspective? Or how do you understand this? Or what do you see? And then I tell you what I see. I think some of those questions really helps open our own minds. It's about self-awareness as well. Open our own minds to say, now I know what you're talking about. How about we do it this way or we try it this way? I think for me, those simple questions really helps reduce our blind spots.
Simple and very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. What's the most surprising thing you learned on your journey embracing diversity and inclusion?
I spent some time in different countries where the cultures are really different. And I'm a Western person, so I've got a Western mindset. I think there's a certain way to do things, and there's a certain way to do things so that things are successful. But then when you go to another country culture, it doesn't work the same, meaning that if you apply the same recipes, you're not necessarily going to be successful. And so you have to, again, have a lot of humility and to adapt. and to understand also that through doing it a different way, you can be successful. I spend a lot of time in India, and I find out that you've got cars, you've got roads, you've got houses, you've got people, but everything works differently. It's working well too, just on a different way. So I remember very well having to learn again to do very simple things, and that were efficient too. That was quite a lesson to me.
For me, I think the most important lesson I have learned is the fact that being different is actually very, very, very powerful. It of course does, come with a certain level of responsibility, but it's quite powerful. As I mentioned earlier, I mentor the BAME talk in Bristol, but to be able to kind of stand there and talk to the kids and explain to them that this has been my career journey, and this is where I am in my career. And for them to kind of see you and ask questions, you feel this sense of responsibility when they're asking questions, and their eyes kind of lighting up going, oh, so a career in engineering is actually possible for me too. That feeling at that point in time, it's one of utmost humility, I must add. But it is quite powerful, because right there and there, you've actually been able to influence kind of somebody else's journey, and that person being different to what the norm is, and then ultimately empowers them as well. So that's kind of, for me, the biggest learning.
Perspective, humility, responsibility are the three words I think resonated the most.
Absolutely.
Thank you both for sharing your wisdom and your journey on this with us. Thank you very much.
Thanks. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now over to you. What passion drives you? Thank you for listening, and we look forward to sharing the next Radar episode with you.